it's Jessie V. So yes, this is a slightly unsettling title for a video, and yes, unfortunately, it is completely true. My friends and I found human bones at an extremely old cemetery back in like grade 9. Probably one of the most disgusting things that I have ever experienced, and honestly a little bit sad if you really think about it. Because when I die, I know that I want all of my body parts to remain in the ground. I don't want teenagers stumbling across my pelvis 100 years later. I want to rest in peace, okay? So back in grade 9, I was really into bringing my sketchbook to creepy places. I just loved sitting down and sketching my surroundings. The weirder the better, you know? So one day, me and my friends from art class decided to go on a little adventure into the woods. It was a forest about 45 minutes from my house, and it was my first time going there. And the only reason we went was because my friend's uncle had a farm nearby, so he told us that the forest was super creepy, super awesome to draw. Apparently, there were some really crazy shaped trees in there, so of course I wanted to draw them. If you know me, you know that I can draw trees for days. So that's where we went, and we probably spent about 2 hours sitting on the ground, completely immersed in our sketchbooks like a bunch of art nerds. It was great. I actually ended up creating this really awesome piece that my art teacher absolutely loved, so it was completely worth it. You know that tree from the movie Sleepy Hollow? That really giant one that like twists and turns into the night sky? Kinda looks like something straight out of your nightmares. Yeah, I drew something that looked very similar to that because Tim Burton is like my all-time inspiration for everything. Probably why I love forests to begin with. He made me that way. He's creepy and I like it. He's creepy and he knows it. Anyways, after we were done drawing, we decided to walk around for a little bit longer. The area that we were in was very, very old. So there was the forest, and then there were like fields surrounding the forest. And in these fields, there were very old barns that were kind of falling apart. There were abandoned houses, fences that had rotted and kind of fallen over everywhere. Everything seemed ancient. It was like we entered a whole nother world that hadn't been touched for years. So finally, we find this extremely overgrown, archaic graveyard. It probably hadn't been maintained since the 20s. I'm gonna look up some pictures online to give you guys an example of what it looked like. These aren't the actual pictures of the graveyard we were at, but it kind of gives you an idea. All of the stones were knocked over and grass was covering most of them. You could barely even see the writing on the gravestones anymore. There were huge holes in the ground. Roots from trees were wrapped around everything. It didn't even seem like a graveyard anymore. That's how messed up it was. It was a messy place. Probably completely forgotten, to be honest. If anyone's family had been buried there, it was probably like 500 years ago. But you can imagine what us art kids wanted to do when we saw it. Come on, I know you guys know what we did. We wanted to draw it. Our sketchbooks came flying out of our backpacks the minute we walked into that place. I was like, I must draw you right now. I mean, it was a beautiful opportunity. Gosh, I really wish I could find my old sketchbooks. They're probably in my room somewhere. Somewhere in the mess. I could probably find them if I really looked hard enough, but laziness is a horrible thing, isn't it? Don't worry, if I come across them one day, I will show you guys. So anyways, I was just sitting there on a tree stump drawing when suddenly I hear one of my friends scream. So I looked over and I saw that one of her legs had completely sunken into the ground, so she must have been walking over some unsteady ground or something, because I mean, there were holes in the ground everywhere. You really had to watch where you were walking, and I guess she wasn't. So a bunch of us obviously rushed over to help her out, and as soon as her foot came out of that hole, we immediately saw what looked like 2 bones. They were just these 2 thin white pieces kind of covered by dirt and rocks. I mean, they weren't huge or anything, probably the length of my hand, and super, super thin. I'm really not quite sure what part of the body they could have been from. One of my friends just did not believe that it could be human bones, so he kind of kicked the dirt and it popped out a bit, and then it just definitely looked like a bone. Like, you know how it starts off thin and then the ends are a bit thicker? Like, it just looked like human bones. Now, I'm sure you guys are thinking, Jessie, what if it was from an animal? And I mean, yeah, I guess it's possible that they could have been, but I mean, come on, we were in the middle of a cemetery. The bones were right in a hole beside a gravestone. I mean, the odds are that it was from a human. So when my friend's uncle came to pick us up, we told him about what we saw. He went and investigated it, and he said that he honestly wasn't surprised at all because that graveyard hadn't been checked on for like years and years. And because of the amount of rainfall and it not being maintained, the holes in the ground probably caused some of the bones to rise up. I don't know if that's how it worked, I'm just quoting her uncle. But he basically told us not to worry, he would deal with it, he would inform the appropriate people. I don't really think that anybody he told would really care that much because it was so old, but we felt like it would be better to tell someone than to not tell someone. I feel like if I didn't, those bones would be on my conscience for a very long time. But yeah, that's what happened, and I found out it's not a very uncommon thing to happen with old graveyards. Like, I've told this story to a lot of my friends when I was in college and stuff, and a lot of the people I told has had that happen to them or family members before, especially out in the country where it's not really looked after that well. But yeah, could it have been animal bones? Maybe, I don't know. Could it have been humans? Probably a higher chance of that. But either way, seeing bones in a graveyard is never a happy thing. It's always pretty creepy. So that is the end of my story today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. As usual, my social media information is below, along with my vlog channel and my P.O. Box information, so check that out. And until next time, guys, bye!